Many people, including me, love Sabotage because it gives us such a dramatic sense of the people and the spaces, the buses, the crowds, the parades of London in the 1930s. And in this video, I'll talk about that, but also another dramatic change between the novel and the film, and that is the change in Mr. and Mrs. Verloc's occupation. The shift from them operating a shop that sells pornography to operating a movie theater opens up all sorts of interesting possibilities about drawing contrast between what's happening on screen and what's happening off screen in their lives. Probably the most dramatic change between the novel and the film is in the way that Mr. and Mrs. Verloc support themselves. In the novel, Mr. Verloc sells pornographic books and pictures, but in the film, he and his wife operate a movie theater. Now, the main reason for this change would have been the censorship that films in the UK and in the US had to pass in the 1930s. Depending upon what print you see, you may see the approved by the British Board of Censors credit at the beginning of the film. There is no way they would have approved a film for general audiences that involved the main characters selling pornography. But it was Hitchcock's choice to change their work to operating a movie theater, as you see here. And this sets up all sorts of creative possibilities for contrasting what goes on screen with what's going on in their lives, but also using the space of the movie theater and their apartment behind it. They literally live behind the scenes of the screen. And we even hear reminders of the movies in their living room. For example, when they're in their apartment, we sometimes hear dialogue or background music from the movie that's playing in the theater. This beautiful shot, it's one of my favorites in the film, puts both worlds together at the same time. Ted, the detective, whom you see in the center, has persuaded Stevie to help him eavesdrop on the spies who were plotting with Fairlock. The movie screen on the right shows the world of pretend violence, and its opposite, the transom on the left, which opens to the Verloc's living room where the villains are hatching their plots. And we hear the sounds of both worlds at the same time. The juxtaposition, I think, softens the evil of what the villains are planning and also invites us to think about how real evil can exist alongside imaginary violence. The juxtaposition of fantasy and real life reaches a climax in the sequence where Mrs. Verloc stops to watch Walt Disney's short cartoon, Who Killed Cock Robin? I don't want to give away an important plot point, so I'll just say that the cartoon provides a moment of welcome distraction from Mrs. Verloc, and yet the subject matter connects to something that has happened in her life. She's working through some intense emotions, and we might say that the film dramatizes her subconscious feelings. It won't surprise you to learn that the UK was Disney's largest market outside the US in the 1930s. And you might recall that the London Film Society that Hitchcock belonged to included Disney cartoons on several of its programs. We will see a short black and white clip from Who Killed Cock Robin in Sabotage. The film spoofs Hollywood stars such as Mae West, as you see here in the character of Jenny Wren, and also Edward G. Robinson. If you'd like to see the full 8-minute cartoon in glorious Technicolor, you can find a link in the additional resources section of our website for this week. Just like in the novel, the spaces in the film that seem innocent can become menacing. Even the public aquarium can be used to hatch murderous plans. This is a wonderful scene that contrasts Verloc's discussion with his handler about his act of sabotage with the menacing sea creatures behind them. The man who is reprimanding him seems to be more posh than Verloc, perhaps a comment on how some of the upper classes in London in the 1930s supported Hitler. The bomb maker in the film owns a pet shop and hides his projects in bird cages and in cupboards. In the film, the anarchists are menacing but also kind of eccentric. The scenes in the bird shop are comic as well as serious. There's more humor in the film, I think, than in the novel's scenes with the bomb maker. The comedy in the film softens the implications of the bomber's actions. Some scenes in Sabotage were filmed on location, while Hitchcock filmed others in the British Gaumont studio, and it can be hard to tell the difference. The opening sequence takes place at the Battersea Power Station that you see here, which had just opened in 1937, and the lunch with Ted, Winnie, and Stevie occurs at Simpson's in the Strand, one of Hitchcock's favorite restaurants and one of the places he went to publicize the film. The celebration of London in this film has made it one of Hitchcock's most beloved works because of the sense of the city it gives us, and so it makes a fitting end for our series. Thank you.